I always thought the monster in my life would be a stranger, until I realized I was sleeping beside him every night. That's exactly what happened to me. For 10 years, I was married to Mark. He was charming, kind, the kind of man who never forgot an anniversary, who always knew how I liked my coffee. I used to joke that he was too good to be true. Turns out, I was right. It started with something small. A missing shirt. A set of car keys that I swore were on the counter, only to find them in the garage. Strange little things, nothing that screamed danger, but enough to make me feel off. Then, one night, I found the box. It was in the attic, tucked behind a stack of old photo albums. I don't even know why I opened it. Maybe it was intuition, maybe it was sheer bad luck. But when I did, my stomach dropped. Inside were driver's licenses. Women's. At first, I thought maybe they were old, maybe Mark had a weird habit of collecting things. But the problem was, the faces on the IDs were familiar. I had seen them before. On the news. Missing persons reports. Women who had vanished without a trace. My hands were shaking as I dug deeper. There were photos, candid shots, like someone had taken them from a distance. And then, at the very bottom, a folded newspaper clipping. Body found in wooded area. Police searching for leads. I couldn't breathe. My mind was screaming at me, telling me to run, to call the police, to do something. But before I could move, I heard the front door open. Mark was home. I slammed the box shut and shoved it back where I found it, my heart pounding so loudly I swore he'd hear it. I forced myself to smile when he walked in, asked him how his day was. I tried to act normal. But deep down, I knew. I was married to a killer. For days, I lived in silent terror, pretending everything was fine while my brain raced for a way out. I couldn't just confront him. I'd seen enough crime shows to know how that would end. I needed proof. I needed a way to make sure he couldn't get away with it. And that's when I made my biggest mistake. I followed him. One night, when he said he was going on a late run, I waited 5 minutes, grabbed my keys, and trailed him. I stayed back, my hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. He drove out of town, down a back road, stopping at an old cabin I didn't even know existed. I watched as he got out, carrying something heavy wrapped in plastic. I already knew what it was. I wanted to scream, to run, to do anything but sit there frozen. But then, something happened. Something that shattered the last pieces of my sanity. Mark turned around. And he smiled. Not at the body. Not at the cabin. At me. I felt my blood run cold. He knew I was there. I slammed my car into reverse, tires screeching as I sped back home. My mind was racing. Had he seen me before? Had he known this whole time? My hands were shaking as I burst through the door, grabbing my phone to call the police. But before I could dial, before I could even take a breath, Mark walked in. Calm, smiling, like nothing had happened. And in his hands, he was holding the box. I felt my stomach drop. "You shouldn't have gone looking, love," he said. That's when I realized,